888-848-9206 or visit high-electric.com to get started.
Advanced Medical Imaging is the largest radiology group in Nebraska, located in Lincoln at 7601 Pioneers Boulevard. At Advanced Medical Imaging, they utilize state-of-the-art technology and blend it together with their compassionate, skilled team to guide you through every step. Whether it's an MRI, CT scan, or X-ray, their precise diagnostics help your doctor deliver the best care plan for you. Choose clarity and comfort in your life by choosing Advanced Medical Imaging, located at 7601 Pioneers Boulevard and online at amimaging.com.
Thanks for letting me stay over while my apartment's getting painted.
No problem. Oh, bagels are done.
Is it supposed to rain today?
Let's find out.
Hey, an entire video screen just came out of your toaster.
There's a 70% chance of rain today.
More things should be built in, like the multiplier in Mega Millions from your Nebraska Lottery. It's one of the new enhancements to the game, along with bigger jackpots and better odds.
Should I wear the blue or the green blouse?
Blue. It matches your eyes.
$5 Mega Millions top prize odds, 1 in 290 million.
It's the best time of the year to order a new John Deere air seeder during Landmark Implement's Fast Start Early Order program. Take your seeding performance to the next level with John Deere's advanced air seeding technology. Achieve precise seed and fertilizer placement, optimize emergence, and cover more acres with less downtime. Now is the time to lock in the best price of the year during Landmark Implement's Fast Start Early Order program. Contact your Landmark Implement for full details and experience the Landmark difference.
It's the problem no one wants to talk about, the middle child of driver safety. In the time of doing everything in the car with 3 screens and a surround sound symphony sending you somewhere sunny, driving takes a back seat to swiping and replying. And while you're eating and taking a sip from your drink, more than 14% of fatal and injury crashes are being caused by distracted driving. This is distracted driving for real. Let's start driving for real. Paid for by the NDOT Highway Safety Office.
Welcome in to the Corner 3, taking you around the arc of college basketball. From the NAAC to the Pac-12, the WCC to the SWAC. We cover it all now on 93.7 The Ticket. Here is your host, Austin Oerman.
Whoa! What's this? Corner 3? Oh yeah, we're back. We are so back. We have never been more back. Welcome to it. This is the Corner 3. I am your host, Austin Oerman. Over the next few weeks here on Friday nights, we'll continue to put a bow on the 24-25 college basketball season and, of course, start flipping ahead to the 25-26 college basketball season. There is so much to get to, so little time. In about 35 minutes or so, we'll have Lincoln Stars hockey on the airwaves. But until then, I'm going to chat some college hoops, leading off, of course, with Nebraska men's basketball and what they've gotten out of the transfer portal so far. If you got any thoughts on it, please let me know. 402-464-5685. Had some good discussions on this with Strick and Jay earlier in the week, but you know what? It's later in the week. Had some more time to sit on it, chew on the addition, see what else Nebraska could potentially be targeting, could need in the transfer portal or the high school recruiting ranks. Robin Washington of On 3 Husker Online had an interesting piece out on that earlier today. But we're just looking at the transfer portal right now. And I think what I'm going to do just here in this first segment is go through the 5 players for those of you who might have missed out on who Nebraska added so far. And I'll probably do it in order of most impactful potential add to the one that I would consider the least impactful add for Nebraska. But again, you guys know on this show, we don't like to do things in numeric order, assign rankings. We like to do tiers of rankings. So I think I really came up with 3 tiers of rankings. The absolutely useful guys, the probably useful wait and see guys, and I guess more that'd be the what's the role guys, and then the developmental project guys. So 3 tiers of players to get through here in this first segment. Then we'll take a short look at what's going on in the transfer portal nationally to round out the show. Again, 402-464-5685. Thanks to those of you who chimed in and gave your thoughts on a potential Royals show. Just know, I do enjoy the Royals. I do enjoy Major League Baseball. It doesn't have to just be the Royals. Obviously, that'd be a key focus as we are Lincoln's home for the Royals. But I am looking at starting something a little more MLB-centric. Maybe talk some stick and ball with Nick Sainert at some point here on the airwaves moving forward. So just stay tuned for that as we get deeper in the month of April into May. And of course, the boys of summer coming up in June and beyond. But we're on to college basketball. Corner 3 is not going anywhere necessarily. Will it happen every week? We'll have to wait and see, but I certainly want to get back on schedule. It's been too long since I've had the chance to sit down and talk with y'all. Travel's gotten in the way. Other work responsibilities have gotten in the way. But you know what? We're here tonight. We're having a good time, and we are going to dive into it. I'm going to start with my bottom tier of players, the wait and see sort of developmental track of players. And of Nebraska's 5 transfer portal ads so far, I've just got one guy in there, and that's wing Will Cooper. He's 6'6", 210 pounds. He transfers to Nebraska from the Air Force Academy. Last year in 21 games, he averaged 5.3 points, shot 59% overall, 37.7% from 3, and 82% from the free throw line. Also averaged 2 rebounds per game for the Falcons. What's really interesting about Will Cooper, I found 2 things. Number one, he made at least 1 3 in 5 of Air Force's last 6 games. That's a pretty good size floor spacer, again, at 6'6", 210. And of course, he is a Millard South product, former Patriot, coming back home to play for the Huskers. I'm not sure that Will Cooper has a huge role to play on this year's Nebraska team. Looking at him, he doesn't look 210 on the court. I would say Price Sanford looked a little more filled out than did Will Cooper. And Sanford's listed a few pounds lighter. Maybe Cooper, maybe it was just the angle, the highlights I was watching, I don't know. But Cooper looks a little ganglier to me than Price Sanford did, who we'll certainly get to here in just a minute or two. Will Cooper's kind of the Gavin Griffith's replacement, right? Break glass in case of emergency. What can this tall, skinny guy give you? If Will Cooper stretches the floor, that to me is really going to be his job. Can you give some positional rebounding? Can you not be a traffic cone on defense? And can you stretch the floor? That's really what the expectation was for Gavin Griffiths, who of course entered the transfer portal, didn't live up to his former high school star ranking or his Big Ten experience like he had at Rutgers as a freshman. And I just like this type of player, not to build a team around, but to help complete a team, right? A guy that's going to be low usage, that should be low maintenance as well. Comes back home, knows what role he's going to play. Now that you know what role you're going to play, just go out on the court and play the role. Stretch the floor, rebound enough. And I guess that Will Cooper, if he's playing heavy minutes, Nebraska either really needs to go big, and Will Cooper's playing probably the 2. But I think ideally he's playing a lot of wing, a lot of 3, maybe some small ball 4 in the right lineups. But it's a worthwhile flyer, I would say, on an in-state player. Nebraska's had a little bit of success with that. Certainly not a whole lot of success. Getting one to come back home out of the transfer portal, really never a bad thing for Nebraska. But we'll see what kind of role Will Cooper has to play for the Huskers moving forward. So he's in the kind of developmental. We'll see what he brings to the 25-26 team tier for me. The next 2 guys are in the let's wait and see what the role is for guys that I think are going to be good players that have the stats, the recognition to back it up, but I'm not sure what role they're going to play. We'll start with the name that the Husker fans already know, and that's Jamarcus Lawrence. I have him as the archetype of a combo guard, not a true point, not a true shooting guard. What is he going to be asked to do at Nebraska? You wouldn't think Nebraska would bring him back if they were going to have the same sort of discussions and conversations that led to Jamarcus Lawrence transferring out the first time. But what Nebraska needed and what Jamarcus Lawrence wanted and or needed to be the most successful, those didn't match up, through about midway of the 23-24 season, and then they went their separate ways at the end of the year. What we know Jamarcus Lawrence can do is score the basketball. That's probably his biggest selling point. His best game as a Husker was the win that he helped key for Nebraska against Indiana, where he was on fire from deep, was getting to the rim as he wanted to. And I'm curious to see what Nebraska's approach is with Jamarcus Lawrence and how his time at Rhode Island helped him in returning to Nebraska. I think it was Robin Washington put out another good piece on Jamarcus, talking to him that he didn't really realize how good he had it at Nebraska, what he was missing when he went to Rhode Island. He went out there, he started every game, averaged just about 10 points per game, shot 42% overall, but 39% from 3 and 87% from the free throw line. Those last 2 numbers are huge, are absolutely key. because that's really what Nebraska was missing this year from its point guard position, which I still think at the end of the day is probably the position that Jamarcus Lawrence ends up playing at Nebraska. Does he have a greater understanding and appreciation for what point guard means in this Fred Hoiberg system now that he's removed from it for a year? We'll have to see. But you saw how much better things looked for Nebraska when in Las Vegas at the College Basketball Crown, Sam Hoiberg was stepping up and knocking down threes. When Cale Jacobson was making the right play, the ball wasn't sticking. When even Aaron Eulis, right, hit the movement three off the kick out from Bryce Williams, got downhill, hit a couple mid-range jumpers as well. And Nebraska got basically nothing from the point guard position in the regular season. Something changed in the postseason where there was actual production. Not an overwhelming amount, nothing crazy, but 7 to 12 points a game between your point guards, as long as it's on, relatively low number of shot attempts and pretty high efficiency, that helps so much. If there's some other credible option on the floor for Nebraska, that goes a long way. And I still maintain that Jamarcus Lawrence is going to be Nebraska's best option at what some would say the point, but I still think is probably just the lead guard position for Nebraska, because at the end of the shot clock, Nebraska's run its actions, it's run its plays, defense sniffs it out, nothing's there. Can Nebraska give Jamarcus Lawrence the ball and say, get downhill, create a good shot? Right? I think Jamarcus Lawrence has a pretty darn good first step to get by guys. I think he's a good enough shot maker that you're okay with him taking some tough ones at the end of the shot clock. Can Jamarcus Lawrence develop into Glenn Watson? I think Jamarcus is more athletic, probably quicker and faster than Glenn Watson, but Glenn had a sense for the moment, right? Glenn Watson hit some big shots at Nebraska, did a pretty good job taking care of the ball as well. And what I'm really curious to see for both Jamarcus Lawrence and the rest of the team is how much will Jamarcus Lawrence be relied on as a cutter, right? Casey Tominaga wasn't the point guard for Nebraska in 23-24, but he was an elite cutter. Even when he brought the ball up, what he was able to do with rink mass, some of the Tim Duncan, Manu Ginobili, and Tony Parker screens and cutting off of that, right? I'm not asking for Derek Walker to Casey Tominaga levels of telepathy between rink mass and Jamarcus Lawrence. But I do think that Jamarcus Lawrence can show his growth and get Nebraska some easy buckets by remembering how to play with rink mass, remembering that rink mass can throw pretty much every pass in the book from the wing, from the top of the key. So cut, and don't give up on your cuts if you do. I do think it's maybe a little bit higher risk of an ad from Nebraska to go get Jamarcus Lawrence, right? You think, well, he's familiar, he's been here, he's had some success in the system, how's it a risk? You just worry that the same issues are going to pop up, that Jamarcus Lawrence, doesn't know how to operate as a one in this system. You would think being wiser, more mature would help him. And again, if you ask me right now, I would say the outlook is pretty rosy for how it's going to work out. Maybe that's wishful thinking, but I do think it's a worthwhile ad and reunion for both sides here. We've just got to actually see it play out. So I think Jamarcus Lawrence is the right type of player for Nebraska to go get. We'll see if Jamarcus Lawrence himself is the right player that Nebraska actually needed. The other guy that I'm putting in this wait and see tier and category is Ugnius Jarusavicius. I think I said that right. Lithuanian. Very, very Lithuanian young man. He's listed at 6'10", 220. That's pretty darn good size for a post man. Relatively mobile as well. But my questions around Oogie, as I believe we are instructed to call him moving forward, come down to the fact that his best attribute is post scoring. And I know that's going to be music to the ears for a lot of you, right? I mean, when Nebraska's struggling offensively, why can't they just throw it inside to the tall guy and get a bucket? Not saying you're wrong in that, right? You certainly need that. But will Oogie be better, be more productive, be more consistent than Andrew Morgan was? That's really the guy that I think he's replacing from last year's roster, because he's not Josiah Allick. Josiah Allick was a little bit shorter and certainly bouncier than I think Oogie is. But what Josiah Allick was also able to do was he would step out behind the perimeter, right? He could dribble a little bit. He could hit a spot up three from the corner. But Josiah Allick was the energy, the effort, the intensity type of guy. I'm not saying Andrew Morgan wasn't that, but I'm just curious how much Jarusavicius's focus on post scoring is going to be highlighted for Nebraska. And if it's not being highlighted, what else does he bring to the table? I'm not sure that's a guy you just sit down in the dunker spot like you had with Josiah Allick at times. I think he's probably too talented to just be that kind of decoy sitting there just waiting for his moment. But is he good enough at the Big Ten level to be a feature option on the floor at the same time as Rink Mast, right? You probably don't get an all-MAC first-team player. And the MAC was actually a pretty solid conference last year. Elite, no, but, it was probably a better basketball conference than football conference last year, I would say. Do you go get an all-conference first-team type of player to have him sit the bench or be a spot starter? I don't see the full synergy between Rink Mast and Ugi Jerusavicius like I did, for example, with, say Danny Wolf and Vlad Golden at Michigan. I think Jerusavicius is a guy that's going to need his touches and going to need to score his points to end up being the most productive player. But he does it in a way that we haven't really seen from Nebraska big men, especially under Fred Hoiberg, right? He's a back to the basket, can turn into a little bit of a face-up game. Didn't see much of his handle, so I don't want to comment on that. But just looking at what Phil Knight did, it was one dribble, it was one or two post moves. And I think Andrew Morgan was probably a little quicker, a little more athletic than Jerusavicius was. Jerusavicius certainly had more production. I mean, 16 points on 54% shooting overall, led the MAC in effective field goal percentage and 2-point percentage, 31% from three and 72% of the free throw line. That's really not bad. Tells you there could be some skill development there. But the other thing that Josiah Allick had that I'm not sure Jerusavicius does is a little bit more passing skill. Jerusavicius, in 3 years, first two at Cal State Bakersfield and then last year at Central Michigan, still hasn't averaged a full assist per game. Is that as big a deal with Rink Mast returning? Probably not. But let's say that Rink Mast isn't full speed, especially early on. Is Jerusavicius able to fill that Rink Mast role as facilitator and passer? Is Nebraska relying on Berkey Boyuktengel to take that next step as a player and develop into the guy they thought he was going to be? I like that Nebraska got size. I like that Nebraska got production in the form of Ugi, but I'm not as sold on the synergy between him and Rink Mast without seeing it in action first. So I do think that Will Cooper is a worthwhile add. I do think Jerusavicius and Jamarcus Lawrence will have some decent-sized roles to play for this Nebraska team. But there are two other guys that I think are going to be starters from the time they walk in the building that I think can be, should be, and probably need to be instant impact players for Nebraska to return to the NCAA tournament. I'll tell you about those two players, give you a brief overview of what's happening nationally in the transfer portal, and then we'll get you out of here to Stars Hockey, all on the other side.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Brought to you by Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing.
Your Lincoln forecast for today, we'll see lots of sunshine with light winds. Afternoon high around 68. Tonight, mainly clear skies and light winds, low near 46. And tomorrow, we'll see mainly sunny skies. It'll be windy and warm with an afternoon high near 80. I'm meteorologist Kyle Tucker for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
It's the best time of the year to order a new John Deere air seeder during Landmark Implement's Fast Start Early Order Program. Take your seeding performance to the next level with John Deere's advanced air seeding technology. Achieve precise seed and fertilizer placement, optimize emergence, and cover more acres with less downtime. Now is the time to lock in the best price of the year during Landmark Implement's Fast Start Early Order Program. Contact your Landmark Implement for full details and experience the Landmark difference.
At Fairway Meat Market, you're family, and as part of the family, they want to save you money on your meat and groceries. Fairway has fresh cut meats, seafood, cheese, wine, and spirits, and a friendly staff that's always ready to help you find what you need. Stop by Fairway Meat Market today to plan your weekly meals in the Rockledge Square Shopping Center, just south of 84th and Van Dorn.
Make plans to join 93.7 The Ticket and the Amon Green Foundation for the first annual Nebraska Esports Golf Tournament on Monday, June 9th at Wilderness Ridge. It's a four-man scramble starting at 11 a.m. that will feature former Husker greats, including Amon Green, Johnny Rogers, Niles Paul, Tony Davis, Adam Carricker, Vershawn Jackson, and more, with great prizes and great golf. Sponsorships are also available. Email Jake at theticketfm.com for more questions or sign your team up online at theticketfm.com. Early bird registration goes through April 20th, and overall registration goes through May 30th.
Jack Russell of Farm Bureau Financial Services is here to help you protect things that are most important to you. Whether it's your home, your family, or your future, Jack Russell has the proven experience to get the job done while developing authentic relationships with you. Give Jack a call today at 402-421-9100. Again, that's 402-421-9100. Or visit one of his 2 locations in Lincoln or Seward and learn how you can excel in the complicated world of insurance. Jack Russell of Farm Bureau Financial Services, a trusted and well-respected representative since 1999.
Make plans to stop by Corn Coast Brewing this Saturday, April 12th for their Ales Helping Tales event, partnered with Parkview Animal Hospital. This semi-annual fundraiser collects donations and sells raffle tickets to raise money for Vets Get Pets, a program in the Nebraska Department of Veteran Affairs that helps with adoption fees for veterans. A special beer will be brewed, and the first 100 customers who buy the beer will receive a special edition Stadium Cup. That's all this Saturday at Corn Coast Brewing at 14th and Yankee Hill.
Start your Sundays off right with Jeff and Nicole Essink on Fitness Fanatics. Jeff and Nicole discuss health and wellness, how to achieve fitness goals, and more through the life of gym owners and gym goers. It's Fitness Fanatics from 9 to 11 a.m. on Sundays on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Take control of your health with the DASH scan at Advanced Medical Imaging. The DASH scan is a full-body MRI designed for advanced health screening. This dynamic approach provides exceptionally sharp images across multiple organ systems, helping to detect potential concerns early. With minimal radiation and no invasive procedures, the DASH scan offers a safe, comprehensive look at your health. Plus, results are delivered faster than ever, giving both patients and physicians confidence in screening and diagnosis. Your health is too important to wait. Schedule your DASH scan today at Advanced Medical Imaging. Visit amimaging.com or call 402-484-6677 to learn more.
Hey volleybalfans, this is Laura Dijkema, National Player of the Netherlands and now the setter on Omaha's newest professional team, Love Omaha Volleyball. League Volleyball is bringing the heat this year. Don't miss your chance to see Olympians, national players and national champions right here in Omaha from now through April. We can't wait to see you cheering for us in the stands. Visit lovboma.com to buy single match tickets to see me and Love Omaha Volleyball in action. Go Big Green!
Thanks for letting me stay over while my apartment's getting painted.
No problem. Oh, bagels are done.
Is it supposed to rain today?
Let's find out.
Hey, an entire video screen just came out of your toaster.
There's a 70% chance of rain today.
More things should be built in, like the multiplier in Mega Millions from your Nebraska lottery. It's one of the new enhancements to the game, along with bigger jackpots and better odds.
Should I wear the blue or the green blouse?
Blue. It matches your eyes.
$5 Mega Millions top prize odds, 1 in 290 million.
Back to the corner 3 on 93.7 The Ticket. Here is your host, Austin Oerman.
Got another 10 minutes or so before I throw it to break. Get you set up for some Lincoln Stars hockey. Last time at the Icebox for the season, regular season, of course. Playoffs coming. Stars clinched the Anderson Cup already, but we're talking some Nebraska men's basketball here for another 10 minutes or so. Gave you the developmental piece in the transfer portal so far for Nebraska. That's Will Cooper. The guys I'm intrigued to see their role are DeMarcus Lawrence and Ugnias Jerusevicius. And then the two guys that I really think are instant impact players, starters, and need to be good for Nebraska to, dare I say, make school history at the very least. No, not at the very least. But, Nebraska shooting for its third straight 20-win season. Those two guys are Price Sanford and Kendall Blue. We'll start with Price Sanford. He's a wing, pretty true wing, 6'6", 205. Only started 2 games at Iowa over his 60-some career games. Averaged 8 points last year, 66% shooter overall, 40% from 3, a weird 64% at the free throw line. Not exactly the highest volume free throw shooter. So either the 40% and 37% he's shot from 3 are flukes, or the free throw number is a fluke, and that's going to trend back up. But Fred Hoiberg was really intrigued with Price Sanford out of Waukee in Iowa. He was the number 1 player on Nebraska's board. Of course, ended up committing to the Hawkeyes to play with his brother Peyton Sanford, who's off to the NBA draft right now. Price last year, again, 8.3 points and 3 rebounds per game as a 6'6", 205 wing in that Iowa system. He's mostly come off the bench for the Hawkeyes. Again, only those 2 career starts, and I do think he's going to walk into the building as one of Nebraska's better players, be asked to play starters minutes, which I think is good. I think he's a capable player. That's a guy that Is he going to be a star in the Big Ten like his brother was, have those type of moments? I wouldn't bet on it, but Fred Hoiberg says that they do see Price Sanford as a guy that can handle the ball in pick and roll, that can get downhill more than he was asked to at Iowa. And if they're able to tap into any more of that off the bounce playmaking juice, more power to them. But I do think Price Sanford is a pretty darn high floor player, right? Probably the ideal version of what Nebraska needed from Gavin Griffiths last year. Sanford can stroke it. He can shoot with the best of them. Again, a 40% three-point shooter for Iowa last year, 38.6% for his career. Really, the question is, how quickly does he learn the scheme, and can you trust him in playing starters minutes for a guy that hasn't really done that before in his career in an Iowa system that like to play fast, got up and down? Not going to say Price Sanford's going to be out of shape, but he's going to have the biggest role of his career at Nebraska if everything goes right for him. So seeing how he adjusts to that, how he handles with that step up in responsibility, I don't know if it'll make or break Nebraska's season, but that's the exact type of player I think that Nebraska is looking for, right? A capable, credible rebounder and positional defender, but a guy that can really space the floor around a passing big man and a downhill attacking guard like I think Jamarcus Lawrence can be, like we'll see if Sam Hoiberg can turn into for Nebraska. I really think Price Sanford is a hand-in-glove fit for Nebraska. I think it's really good that Nebraska was prioritizing him in high school, and now again out of the transfer portal. Players like that typically find some success in the Fred Hoiberg system, and I'm curious to see just what the ceiling is for Price Sanford under Fred Hoiberg. And then the other guy that, without putting this expectation on him, I just want to simplify it so we know we're on the same page what we're talking about. If there was a Bryce Williams replacement in the portal for Nebraska, it was probably the guy they got in Kendall Blue. I have him archetyped as a scoring wing. He's 6'6", 190. Bryce ended up 6'6", 205, I think was what he was listed at Nebraska. But Kendall Blue, like Bryce Williams, was a pretty high usage wing/shooting guard from the mid-major level. Bryce Williams came from Charlotte. Kendall Blue's a Minnesota guy, played his college basketball at St. Thomas for the Tommies in the Summit League. Of course, competed against Chris Crutchfield in the Omaha Mavs. Stricky asked Coach Crutch about Kendall Blue on the block on Wednesday. Highly recommend you go find that segment and check it out. But Kendall Blue averaged 12 points for the Tommies, 51% shooting overall, 42% from three, and a solid 73% at the free throw line. He's a lefty, which is certainly intriguing. In watching some of his film, obviously, favors the left hand as his dominant hand. Little bit of an unconventional, unorthodox shot, but again, it goes in at 42% and 73% from long range. You take it, it works. You don't fix it, you don't change it, you don't tinker with it too much. But he was also confident going right. There are a lot of really strong, really tough offhand finishes for Kendall Blue. That's an intriguing piece. Is he more athletic than Bryce Williams? As athletic as Bryce Williams? I don't know. It's going to be hard to replace what Bryce Williams did. Being the guy after the guy is always a big ask. But I don't think the expectation for Kendall Blue should be for him to walk onto campus and pick up where Bryce Williams left off. I think ideally for Kendall Blue, what he did at St. Thomas translates up. If he's able to do what Bryce Williams did 2 seasons ago now, that goes a long way for him and for Nebraska, right? We talk about last year, Bryce Williams being the feature option for Nebraska, but Bryce was the third wheel. He was the third banana for Nebraska in 23-24, at least in terms of role and shots, right? Bryce ended up the second leading scorer ahead of Rank Mass with 13.4 points per game. If Kendall Blue comes in, averages 13, 5, and 2 like Bryce did his first year at Nebraska, that's absolutely a win. But I don't think Kendall Blue will have to be the identity or the guy for Nebraska, especially if everything breaks right, because you will have Rink Mast, right? I still think Rink Mast is the identity of Nebraska's team and of what Nebraska wants to do. I do think that Jamarcus Lawrence coming back in will be able to help Kendall Blue, acclimate to the system, find his role, get his feet wet, especially if Jamarcus has taken that step forward as a senior, is mature and knows how to handle the moment, all that good stuff. I do think Price Sanford, right, on days that Kendall Blue is off or learning, if Sanford's good early on, that'll certainly ease the learning curve for Kendall Blue. And then, Connor Segan can take some stuff off the plate for Blue. But I really do like the addition because I do see what Nebraska's going for. It saw how much success Bryce Williams had at Nebraska, and they went out and got a player that's not the same, right? You're not ever going to replace a one-to-one carbon copy, but in a similar vein, right? Similar attributes, good long-range shooter, can handle well enough, can pass well enough, rebounds well enough. Kendall Blue averaged 4.5 rebounds per game last year as well. You hope that ticks up a little bit, but if he sticks at 4 or 5, that's probably fine. You get a long, lanky guy that's athletic enough, maybe not overwhelmingly so, but can certainly get up and jam it, is a willing and able passer. I think we saw that from Kendall Blue. And St. Thomas's system was one like Nebraska's, where when it was operating at its best, it had all 5 guys involved, right? All 5 guys touching the ball every possession, constant motion, always cutting, always something happening. And I think that's what Nebraska is going to have to do. I mean, St. Thomas wasn't overwhelmingly athletic, right? Even by Summit League standards. That's a system that relied on basketball IQ, that relied on guys being in the right place at the right time, relied on guys sharing the ball, right? When someone has a step and they're open, you got to get them the ball. Kendall Blue comes from a system that I don't know the granular details of it, what they were tasked to do. But I do think conceptually, philosophically, there are some similarities between what Nebraska wanted to do and what St. Thomas did in the way they played. So I do think that not only did Nebraska get a similar archetype of player in Kendall Blue and a pretty ball dominant but not selfish wing that can handle, pass, shoot, all that good stuff, but also Kendall Blue seems to me to be a guy that came from a system that prioritized, that emphasized, and that valued a lot of the same characteristics as the system that Nebraska has right now. So again, my tiers of transfer portal guys for Nebraska so far, I think Price Sanford, Kendall Blue are instant impact starters, need to be good for Nebraska to be good. Jamarcus Lawrence is a borderline on this tier. I do think he's a starter. I do still have some questions and a little bit of wait and see mode with him. Ugnius Jerusavicius is in that. Okay, you have my attention. Let's see what you can do with him tier, because he's just such a different player from what Nebraska's had before. And then Will Cooper, the wing that was a Millard South Patriot who went to the Air Force Academy. I think that's more a developmental piece. If Nebraska gets anything from him this year, good on the Huskers for that. But I really think his impact is probably a couple years away. I do want to shout out 3994 for texting in. He says, very excited for Hoiberg to get over the hump this year. It's gonna happen. We'll wait and see. We will wait and see. I won't disagree with you, but I'm not going to make any projections like that just yet, because I do think Nebraska's trending in the right direction. I do think there is something to offseason momentum for winning the crown. And I think that, no, Nebraska didn't go out and get a bunch of elite, no doubt, superstars in the transfer portal. But I can make a case for every one of those guys playing a role. I can understand why the staff would target them, why they went out and got them. And I do think it's probably a step in the right direction for Nebraska when it wanted to retain size. Seems like Nebraska's doing that across the board, and also get better, playmaking and shooting. I think that Blue and Demarcus Lawrence certainly offer that. I think Stanford offered some shooting. Jerusavicius can certainly put the ball in the hole as well. Well, that'll do it for me. Got some Lincoln Stars hockey on the other side. Talk to you soon.
Put lawn irrigation on automatic. Think Judson Irrigation for worry-free service to Lincoln homeowners and business community. Judson Irrigation will turn on your sprinkler system in the spring, repair or redesign as needed, and turn it off in the fall. For service to orphan sprinklers, remember Judson Irrigation. They'll never forget you.
Call the Judson Irrigation Orphanage, 402-420-6277, or judsonirrigation.com.
Make plans to stop by Corn Coast Brewing this Saturday, April 12th for their Ales Helping Tales event, partnered with Parkview Animal Hospital. This semi-annual fundraiser collects donations and sells raffle tickets to raise money for Vets Get Pets, a program in the Nebraska Department of Veteran Affairs that helps with adoption fees for veterans. A special beer will be brewed, and the first 100 customers who buy the beer will receive a special edition Stadium Cup. That's all this Saturday at Corn Coast Brewing at 14th and Yankee Hill.
It's the best time of the year to order a new John Deere air seeder during Landmark Implements Fast Start Early